much. It's such an honor. It's such an honor to be here. I actually joined Impact Growth Partners, and actually our founder, Jennifer Gorin, you may have heard her speak at HAYVN before. She's on our call, along with Caleb, who was our summer intern, college intern. So lots of knowledge on here. And Caleb, your face says my name, but you can change it.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. So everyone knows your name. And I joined Impact Growth Partners about 1.5 years ago, and I couldn't be happier. Really being with Impact Growth Partners, we're also members of HAYVN, and we are ourselves certified B Corp. And I have to say, I mean, today I'm going to share with you a bit about the community, the idea of community, which is not unknown to you as you're members of HAYVN, most of you, but otherwise you may be members of the B Corp community or looking to be member of the B Corp community. And also we'll be talking today about the commitment that's required and the certification also. But just to start, the B Corp community, I have to say, is just a wonderful place. And it's such a pleasure having 25 years of work experience as far as in different areas of business, now being part of this community that's so collaborative and not as competitive, and really just seeing folks working together to try to make this world a better place. And it sounds very cliche, but it really is true. And really happy to be here. So I have a little presentation for you. Please feel free, to place questions in the chat. There'll also be time afterwards. If we go a little longer, I'm going to try to be brief, short and sweet and efficient, but feel free to stay on afterwards, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Just give a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Excellent. Okay, so Impact Growth Partners, we are, as I said, members of HAYVN. I am located along with Jennifer here in Connecticut. We are both in Westport, Connecticut. We do work virtually. So although Jen lives probably about a mile from my house, we have only seen each other a few times during this pandemic and so on, but we've actually seen an uptick of applicants who are interested in becoming certified. We are consultants who help companies of all sizes become all types, become B Corp, what's called B Corp certified. So I'll be talking about that today. And as Felicia mentioned, we're very, very proud to have HAYVN be one of our newest members of the B Corp, the global B Corp community, and also the Connecticut B Corp community. As Felicia will attest, and I'm sure she'll be available if you ever have any questions. It's a rigorous process, but it's, in my opinion, well worth the time and effort. So today we'll be talking about community, commitment, and certification. Whoops, and I'll go back. What is a B Corp? A company that is B Corp certified is a company that meets the highest standards of both social and environmental impact. It's a comprehensive certification. We know nowadays that there are tons of certifications. All you need to do is look on the back of your eggs or your milk container, and you'll see whether something is organic, non-GMO, so a great place to work, so on. But really, the B Corp certification is all-encompassing. And what I mean by that is that there are, in order to become certified, one needs to take what's called the B Impact Assessment. It's really a benchmarking tool and a tool that will assess where you are at now. I mentioned before that we work with companies of all sizes in all locations. And really, I've worked with companies that have been in existence for 20+ years, and I've also worked with startups. Startups are able to become what's called Pending B Corp certification. And a startup is defined as a company that has been in operation for less than 12 months. So if you're thinking, well, we're not really there yet, we can't really become part of this community, that is not the case. And again, you could have a revenue of $5,800, like one of my companies in the past year, or one, as I have one that's $180 million per year. So we are not discriminant as far as who we work with, and we just want to better the world and better society. And that's really what our mission is to help companies become part of this amazing community. The assessment itself is broken down into 5 sections. So as consultants, what we have found is most helpful is we break down the assessment so that it's easier to go through it because it can be very overwhelming. Many of you on the call probably have begun the assessment and maybe have put it on the way back burner. I sort of define myself as a cheerleader / nudge with my clients, that I am there to support them, cheer them on, help them. And we go through actually question by question as I take voracious notes, and we set goals for the short term as well as long term. So the 5 sections include the governance section, which we'll get to in a minute, the workers section, the community section, which is one of my favorite sections. That includes anything from the issues surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion, to charitable giving, to looking at your supply chain, because B Lab, which is the governing body, the nonprofit governing body overseeing the B Corp movement, they are almost as concerned with your supply chain as they are with your own operations. So we do take a look at your suppliers and where you spend your money. There's also the environmental section, and then there is the customer section. So generally we break this down over each section will take 1 to 2 weeks to go through. And so that actually makes it sort of manageable, for clients. When and if you become certified like HAYVN, I just want to show you one of our clients that we're very proud of, called HAYVN, which you're very familiar with. This is what the public B impact report looks like on the B Lab site. So you can see here that we're very proud. I usually try to get my clients over 100 points. The minimum number of points to become certified is actually 80. It's 80 out of 200 points. So don't think of it as like an 80 being, not difficult to obtain, because it is very difficult. And actually HAYVN is currently at 106.9 points. One does need to recertify every 3 years. So hopefully Felicia and I will be working together again in a few years just to tie up any loose ends and go through the assessment again, because I'm sure she'll make a lot of progress between now and what will that be, 2024 at HAYVN. As we see, she received, for example, you can see the breakdown of points over here on the right, a large number of points, rightly so. And we're so happy that some what are called impact business models opened up under the community section, because that's really what the heart and soul of HAYVN is about building community, and also helping to, especially with the focus on women, not that HAYVN is exclusive to women, but a large majority of Felicia's customers and clients are women, helping that community, which often is perhaps overlooked and often needs empowerment. So you can see here the community section, the environmental section, and then the customer section. So it's a really nice summary. There's a link to the website here, and it's a great way. Now HAYVN, in all of their social media, in their promotions, you'll see this beautiful bee, and you'll be able to see that she in her social media can use the hashtag BCorp Community, and many of the members of the B Corp community can now follow HAYVN. Why B Corp, and why is it important to pursue this? As we know, society now is really demanding that companies have some kind of either social or environmental purpose. Whether it be millennials or my own daughter, who's a Gen Z, who refuses to buy, for example, fast fashion, and is always looking for companies that perhaps are more sustainable. They're all driving the market, and folks do want to be associated with companies like HAYVN and like others. And I'll show you some of the more popular brands that are B Corp certified in a minute. Ones that are considered caring, responsible, advocate for issues, protect the environment, give back. The B Corp community is growing, and it's global. That's very important as well. So when one starts using the hashtag, when someone can start, for example, participating in all of the different opportunities that B Lab offers to become part of this community, there's a great outreach that happens. And certainly it's a great way for many companies to attract new customers as well. As I mentioned before, B Lab is the nonprofit governing body that serves this global movement. And what's nice is to think about redefining success in business so that all companies compete to be the best for the world, not just the best in the world. As of now, there are over 4,000 certified B Corps in the world. There are 1,400 here in the US, a little bit more than that now. The number is growing. And there are actually 13 certified B Corps in Connecticut, with a few more pending B Corp certified companies. So HAYVN and Impact Growth Partners being 2 of the 13. So it's an exclusive club. It's exclusive, but it's not exclusive in the way that we don't want you to be part of it. It just requires that commitment. And we'll talk about that in a moment. There is a legal element to it, as well as just a commitment to abide by whatever you say you're doing in order to help, whether it be social or environmental issues. And HAYVN in the middle, as it should be. Here are some of the more recognizable brands throughout a lot of these. This is US focused, but you can see here. And when I look at some of these brands, and even before I was familiar with the B Corp movement, when I thought of Ben & Jerry's, when I thought of Patagonia, when I thought of Athleta, 7th generation, there was sort of this switch in my brain, you know, that's a good company. Even if I couldn't define what that meant to be a good company, but some company that I was comfortable with. I knew that Ben & Jerry's was involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion issues. I knew that they were concerned with the environment. I knew that Allbirds, or let's say Tom's of Maine, well, there's Tom's of Maine and there's also Tom's, which is a shoe company. They give back a pair of shoes for every pair of shoes that you buy. Those are all things that I felt, you know, as I was spending my dollars with those companies, that I could feel better about that. But you'll see they're not only product-based companies, but even something like a Kickstarter or some legal firms, and certainly like our firm as a consulting firm can be B Corp certified. I also wanted to highlight our friends here in Connecticut, and some of them are members of HAYVN. So certainly you've heard from some of them before. I just want to highlight, for example, Carolyn Driscoll of Uncommon Good. They're currently pending B Corp certified. They're over here. Also, Rohit Madan of Stanford. We helped him become B Corp certified as a company. They make homemade soaps. They're out of Stanford, and those soaps are made by women in a very a rural village in India. So his impact business model was all about poverty alleviation and also using non-toxic, of course, products and so on. But you can see here all different types of companies. We have Ideal Fish, we help. A few, Publisher Purpose Press was also our client. So we haven't helped all of these companies become certified, but we are very proud of the fact that the numbers, I think, as we educate the public more about the B Corp certification and how important it is, that more folks join. We are in the very beginning stages of forming what is called a B Local Connecticut, which will be just another community again, and HAYVN has offered to host us when we can be in person again, where all of us will come together and for social reasons, and also to promote the B Corp movement and to discuss issues that may be of importance to us, and hopefully grow this community. So next time, you know, next time we show this slide, we'll have to have 2 or 3 slides. I wanted to highlight the idea of community just so much, that the B Lab and the B Corp movement has so much to offer members when they become certified. The list goes on. This is sort of an overwhelming slide, but whether it be, for example, as I mentioned, the B Locals, which are located, I'm hoping that we'll add Connecticut here soon, but there's a B Local Boston, a B Local New York City, you can hardly see that. And of course, throughout the US and Canada. There's something called Be the Change, which is, I've published a couple of articles there. That's an opportunity for members of the B Corp community to share about their experiences or just to share their writing. We also have what's called the Beehive. Again, just groups of different people. There's a consultancy group, for example. So when I have questions going through the assessment, again, it's not competitive. We're all collaborating together. I can post a question saying, oh, I'm working with this amazing co-working space. There's a question that popped up. I'm not sure how to answer. And folks throughout the world will get back. There's something called B Work, where different jobs are posted for if you want to work in the B Corp community. And again, B Corps can post there. There's leadership development opportunities. There's a climate collective. The Dismantle Collective is all about dismantling racism in the world of business and really in society. There is actually a site called B Analytics where you can come together with impact-focused investors, for example, to try to get resources for your company if you are a B Corp or inclined socially and environmentally sustainable. I just put a posting here of Thrive Market that has recently become B Corp certified, and they have even a section on their website related to certified B Corp. So lots of different opportunities for you to get involved. And there's women CEO groups, women leadership groups. I mean, the list goes on. Supposedly Eileen Fisher had some kind of offsite at one of her homes or something for B Corp. So I'm hoping that at some point she'll have that again. That would be just amazing. So when we only have a couple more minutes, but as far as the commitment is concerned, there is a commitment, of course, when it comes to just being socially and environmentally responsible, but a lot of companies are that. And B Lab expects you to take the extra step to actually incorporate that into your, whether it be your articles of incorporation or to become a benefit corporation. So this can be a little bit confusing. So I just want to break it down for you. One does not have to become what's called a benefit corporation to be a B Corp, certified B Corp. If you are currently an LLC as a company, and again, no matter what your size is, no matter when you started operations, what you need to do is amend your operating agreement or your articles of incorporation. What you need to add, and we have the legal language for that, and B Lab does, of course, as well, is you're adding to your operating agreement the fact that you take into consideration all stakeholders in your decisions, and it protects you, protects your mission, protects your values that you probably already have anyway, if you are of this mindset. That basically your mission is then protected through change in ownership, and you're stating, listen, I take into consideration my workers, I take into consideration the environment, I take into consideration my customers. I don't just look at the profit. Profit is part of it. Of course, you can't run, B Lab will be the first to say you need to run an effective business. But you are taking into consideration those other elements. So that protects you. So that's for LLCs. For a C Corp or an S Corp, you become a benefit corporation if that's allowed in your state. In Connecticut, that is, we do have benefit corporation status. It doesn't change your taxes. It just, again, protects you and protects you to consider all non-financial stakeholders. A certified B Corp is not the same as a benefit corporation. A certified B Corp, as we mentioned, doesn't have to be a benefit corporation, and a benefit corporation doesn't have to be certified B Corp. And folks, even in the industry, use these terms, unfortunately, interchangeably incorrectly. So that's why I just wanted to clarify that. What we're talking about today is certified B Corp status, and that's an international certification through B Lab. A benefit corporation is a US corporate form. And again, for C Corps, S Corps, they do have to become a benefit corporation in Connecticut to become a B Corp. Again, if you have questions. So just to give you an overview before we wrap this up, is how long this takes. This is the other idea of related to commitment. There is a time commitment. You have to be in it. This is not a type of certification that you can just pay the dues, sign up, answer a few questions, and you're done. And that's what makes it valuable. That makes it important, and makes it, you should be very, very proud of being part of HAYVN that's B Corp certified. You should not take that lightly. That is a huge step that Felicia took, and we're so proud of her for doing that and including us in that community. When working with our company, and again, you wouldn't need to do that, but certainly we are available if you have questions or you want to hear more. We work with our clients during the first phase of completing the assessment for 5 to 7 weeks. Completing the assessment, the disclosure questionnaire, it costs $150 to submit. It used to be free, but now it's $150. We submit, and then we work on all the documents, policies. That we help a lot with that, because most folks some don't even have an employee handbook, and that would be something, for example, that we have templates for and we help with. And then you can see here, it takes a while, 9 months, 3 months, 3 months, you enter this serious cohort with B Lab. This is a time up here, the verification cohort that Felicia went through, where we were sort of, when Felicia would call me and pull her hair out because they're asking more questions or asking for more documentation. I said, relax, don't worry about it. And then she got through it. Again, they review her again, final steps, background checks, perhaps a site visit, signing the declaration and paying a fee. The fee, actually, I will tell you that for Felicia, because she's a woman and she owns a company, that women and BIPOC owned companies receive 40% off the certification fee. So right there, the fees are not very high considering all of the opportunities you get to participate in community. So I just wanted to wrap up by Yvonne Chenard of Patagonia. And this is really, relates to business, really. It's not how you climb the mountain. How you climb a mountain is more important than, or it is how you climb a mountain. It's more important than reaching the top, and how working together and collaborating is what it's all about. And I just really want to thank HAYVN for giving me this opportunity. And I am more than happy to answer questions. I'm happy to stay on. We are here for you. We're part of the community and we want to grow this. It would be great if we could have even more at HAYVN. It would be like the hub of B Corp, in the state, in the country, in the world, who knows? That's basically it. So if anyone has any questions, I hope I hit the right time, and I'm here for you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jen and Kerrie, and I'm sure please put your questions in chat or ask them. I love the vision of what you have put together and where we're going. And actually, I had one question, Kerrie, and maybe you answer this. Do you guys do more than Connecticut? What do you do outside of Connecticut?
Oh, yeah. No, we work with companies around the world, actually. Most of my companies I'm working with right now, for some reason, are in, who do we work with? I work with California. I'm working with, I'm working with like 15 companies right now, but whether it be, some are in different stages. So from California to Indiana to New York to Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, Utah, all over. So we're not discriminating in that way. It's just my pet project to help. Jen, when I was hired, Jen said, I'd really love to build the Connecticut community. Can you help with that? And I really wanted to do that. So because I live here, I'd like it to be, but certainly if you're anywhere else, we're here for you. We work internationally. We've worked with companies in London, and actually our other colleague is moving to London I think next month. So she'll be hopefully getting more European and British companies on board.
Great. Yeah, and I see Candace has a question. How does becoming a B Corp or certified B certified affect funding, VC or other? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, we're very lucky to have Jen is actually, that's sort of her cup of tea, but Jen, my boss and our founder. But what I know is that certainly as far as funding is concerned, I think most people want folks on their side who share similar values. And there's definitely a shift right now as far as impact focused investors. Those are the people you want on board if that's your focus also as a company. As I mentioned, B Lab has access to over 150, there's a subcategory of the B Lab website called B Analytics, and they sort of connect impact focused investors with B Corps. So I think that it's really an asset. I don't see it as a negative. That
and then Jen Cavella wanted to know how long does the entire process take? Is there a checklist of items needed?
Yeah, there definitely is. So the process takes from beginning to end, like that timeline showed. It can, right now there's quite a lag time because B Lab is so inundated right now with applicants. So many folks want to be part of this community, which is really positive, but it's taking up to, I mean, I'm right now going through verification with a client who submitted October 2020. I had worked with him from August until October with our work. We then worked on documents, policies, templates he needs. And now he's just being, he's in California. He's being verified right now by B Lab, which should take about a month. So October, he'll be verified. I think he'll be done by September. What is that, 11 months? So it's not an overnight process. It takes time, it takes commitment, but it's worth it. And I say that not as a consultant, but as someone who, I also work with amazing people. They're nice. I don't work with jerks, because people who want to make the world a better place, and like Felicia, care about their clients, care about their workers, care about the environment. And it couldn't be a better job really for me. And yeah, it's just, but it does take time.
Yeah, and then do you have a checklist of items?
We do that as consultants as far as a checklist is concerned. That's basically the beauty of working with consultants. When you are going through the assessment, you can make your own checklist. We actually do a complete download of the assessment, as Felicia can attest to, and we provide checklists and all the documents that are needed, and we have all those templates. So for folks who don't have the time to create a charitable giving policy, an environmental policy, a lactation policy, all of these things which will generate you more points and will probably make you a better company, or maybe haven't considered parental leave policies, we work with you on that. And we're not just focused on the B Corp assessment, we're focused on helping you grow your company. So we end up talking about lots of different issues related to marketing, and it goes on. But that's what we do. But as far as your own checklist, certainly B Lab, you have the assessment as your checklist.
Yeah, but there's a big difference into what they do and what the added value. So it's so worth it. Because I started the other way and I would not have been here. Let's see. And how do you work to integrate ESG into this? And does B Lab measure impact? Also, does the certification vary from industry to industry? So that's 3 questions.
Okay, sorry, let me, is this in the chat?
Yes, from Juliana Hess.
How do you integrate ESG into this? Well, you can't do the assessment really without integrating ESG into this. The other thing I should say is that the UN Sustainable Development Goals are also somewhat tied to the B Impact Assessment. Only to add more credibility for B Lab is that B Lab was more or less commissioned by the United Nations to create what's called the Action Manager for Sustainable Development Goals, which, if you're not familiar, you should look it up. It's like 17 goals that the United Nations has set to achieve. So what's nice is it's kind of a 2-for-1. Once you complete the assessment, it automatically downloads into what's called the SDG Action Manager. So you can pursue one of those 17 goals and perhaps make that, so that's something that we at Impact Growth Partners are looking into more. We want to learn more about that ourselves. And we're always growing and expanding what we can offer also as a consulting firm. Does B Lab measure impact? Yes, that's exactly what the assessment does. Measures your social and environmental impact. It's, for some companies, they merely use it as a benchmarking tool. They actually don't achieve, you have to have a minimum of 80 points in order to even press the submit button. So a lot of companies cannot get there, but they use it as a benchmarking tool. So if you can use the assessment for free without submitting, it costs $150 to just press the button. But you could use it as a tool. You just can't get the certification if you want to pursue that. Does the certification vary? Oh yeah, actually that's what makes it exciting for me. I'm working with companies from personal care, healthcare to construction to co-working spaces to regenerative aquaculture. Every single assessment is different. It's geared towards different industry, different sectors, different company size, different revenue size. And there are a lot of gated questions. So they'll open up different questions. It's amazing how specific it can get. We'll talk about, I'm working with jewelry companies. It'll ask about mining. It'll ask about, they really do, B Lab does an amazing job of getting as specific as they can related to your industry.
Maybe we'll take one more question. We can stay on longer, but just want to make sure that everybody.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I think Zoe had a question here, and maybe Jen already answered it. Do you recommend having all your documents ready before you submit your assessment, or since it takes so long, you could submit and then prepare then?
Yeah, at this point, because of the delay, the latter. We are submitting, get in the line. You're basically getting in the soup line. You're getting, so for my, and because once you submit, you can make minor change, you can make some changes to your assessment up until the time you're assigned, Zoe, an analyst. So, but you want to make sure it's pretty, like 99% done. Like I have a client today, I think we're going to submit, we're pretty much there. We have a couple of pending, like greenhouse gas emission questions. We're not sure about energy usage, something like that, but we can always come back to that detailed question because in general, he already has 115 points. He's good to go. I like my clients to be over 100 points. When I first met with Felicia, she was at 89 points. I was like, that does not reflect who you are or what you do. We need to get you higher than that. And when I look at some companies and what they came in on and as their point value, it's not high enough. It's like it doesn't reflect what they've done. So you want to open up as many impact business models as you can that are true. They're true, but you have to know how to navigate this this assessment, which is it's not easy, as you probably know, because I know you're going through it right now.
Can I just follow up on that quickly?
Sure.
I've heard it's like it's common that you get docked a bunch of points after the evaluation. So you want to try to be like at 100, like you said.
That's why I like to be, I mean, as high as possible, you know, with being true to the company, but over 100. I haven't submitted without being over. I think only one company I've submitted that's been they just couldn't get there, you know. But generally speaking, try to get over 100 because they do you know, you go through that analysis period. You're assigned a specific person from B Lab, and they focus on you, and they're going to go through every single question, and for every single question you answered affirmatively to, you have to show them the proof. Show me the data. Why is Fireox Foods this way? Why is it that way? Show me your workers policy. Show me this. You know, they're gonna. And so when I say you can have your documents, you're gonna have time to work on your documents. You know, after you submit, if that's the way you want to go. Probably a year, maybe 2 years ago, when Jen, you know, or 3 years ago, maybe that was a little different because that waiting period was only a few months. So you didn't want to press the button too early because maybe you wouldn't be done yet. But right now we know we're waiting 9 months for the analysis or the analyst to be assigned. Oh, we just filed to register our name. Oh yeah. There's one, is there data that ties B certification to improve financial performance? There are articles written about return on investment. That's not really, that's an effect. That's something that could happen. That's something that probably will happen. But as Robert Hendrick is part of our he works in for Bigelow Tea, which is B Corp certified here in Connecticut. Of course, one of the bigger companies that's certified here in Connecticut, and he's amazing. And I heard him the other day speak, and he was saying, you know, why did we become certified at Bigelow? Was it to sell more tea bags? Have we sold more tea bags? He said, probably, but we did it to become better and to have a benchmark and to just be a better company for our workers, for the community, for the environment. And that's why you do it. I mean, I think if you're looking for the financial, that will come, but that comes with any business that is run properly and, you know, stays on course and prioritizes and sticks to the mission and values of the company. So I think that, yeah, there are plenty of articles about that, but you're also growing your community. So you're going to have a lot more people looking at you, you know, who are part of this B Corp community. Liette asked, do companies typically choose one assessment or get certified from multiple at the same time? I mean, they're all separate certifications. GRI, SASB, B Corp certification. Does it make sense to do that? Well, it depends on your bandwidth. I don't know if I'd recommend it, but I have certainly plenty of companies who are, you know, women certified, and they've done that. And maybe it prepares them also for the B Corp certification because you've done your due diligence. I think it does help quite a bit prepare you for it. I'm not doing them all at once. It depends what you like. I don't know if that answers your question.
No. Well, great.
But
So,
it's a fun process. It's also a great way to just do a complete audit of your company and check. I mean, I have had many founders who have gone through, we've gone through, for example, whether or not employees are paid a living wage. And when she hadn't been as in tune with how much her employees were being paid, it was in a bakery. And when she found out that one gentleman was not being paid, he was being paid a lot less than other people. And because she finally saw it in front of her, she gave the man a $5 per hour raise. That makes a difference in one person's life. You know, if you're being paid 11 versus 6 or 12 versus $17 an hour, that really made a difference. That made me happy that day.
Just one question about that. Like, if you make changes like that throughout the 3 years, once you're certified, are you supposed to go in and do that?
No, you don't go in at that point, but you will go in, Felicia, we'll be in touch with you about, you know, when we're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of you becoming certified, maybe a few months before we'll start looking at it. But no, you don't make the changes as you go along. No, you're going to have to reopen another assessment.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on the hour, so I wanted to thank everybody for joining today, and thank you, Kerrie and Jen and Caleb, for joining from Impact Growth. And we look forward to seeing you again at another HAYVN event or through the B Lab, and good luck on the journey. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.